You wanna know what's getting on my nerves as of late? The fact that people have almost no patience anymore. Like, tell me why when I'm stopped at the red light and it goes green, you can't just give me the leeway of an extra 5 seconds. I'm trying to send a text message and drink my beer. While we're on the subject of drinking and texting, do you know what your worst drunken message ever was? Or alternatively, your worst drunken action? For some of us, there may allegedly be a road, allegedly in Gauteng, allegedly containing a body of someone who allegedly stepped right out in front of them. And for others, it may just be something as simple as kissing one of your mate's girlfriends. Whatever your shameful action is that you're trying to hide, I can guarantee you it's almost certainly not the worst. There's someone out there who's done something way more vile, way more disgusting, and something just so absurd it's hard to believe. In fact, the only way that I can do this story any sort of cinematic justice is by allowing the ghost of Rod Sterling to enter me. Imagine, if you would, a world not too dissimilar from our own. These people, they look like us, they eat like us, but there's something about them that's not quite like us. They speak in funny accents, have long elongated tongues, and always have a vague scent of goat's cheese. Seems impossible, you may say. And what would you even call such a place? Well, believe it or not, it's known as the Netherlands, and in such a foreign place, visitors might do strange and foreign things. Tonight's tale will feature lessons in Shakespearean quality, such as disgust in one's own actions, the consequences of one's folly, and why you should never get neck off your own daughter. Here, in the Twilight Zone. The theme song is copyrighted. If you spent any time engrossed and invested on UK TikTok or WhatsApp this past week, you already know what I'm going to talk about. If you are not, because you live in a different country, which most of you do, at least according to my analytics, I'm going to have to break it down. A story recently went viral over here of a father and daughter apparently accidentally engaging in some sucky suck. How is that even possible, you may ask? Well, as I'm sure you're probably already familiar with, most cultures have a celebration before any type of wedding. In the UK, it's referred to as a hen or a stag do, and in the States, it's most likely called a bachelorette or a bachelor party. Unlike the United States, however, where the most exotic place someone would go to is the next state over, in the UK, because travel is so cheap across Europe, I want to say 80 to 95% of stag or hen do's take place in a foreign country. And or if you're feeling really classy, it can also happen in Blackpool. Deborah, come here. I found a dead pigeon next to a used heroin needle. Oh, we're really in an exotic place now. If you're from Blackpool and you're offended by the idea of me calling your hometown a shithole, well, mate, all I can say to you is I've been around a few places in the UK, and even in major metropolitan cities such as Liverpool, Manchester, and London, I have still yet to encounter another public bathroom with a blue light system so people can't find their veins. Anyway, as I was saying, foreign countries. Popular destinations for UK stag and hen do's to go to include Spain, Turkey, and the Netherlands, Amsterdam. It's pretty self-explanatory why Amsterdam is the most popular, but aside from illicit drugs, there's also its rampant sex. Amsterdam is quite well known for its sex-positive outlook, whether or not the locals want it to be that way. In fact, that culture is so prolific in Amsterdam, it's not uncommon to hear stories of younger brothers going with their older siblings in order to lose their V-card to, what's the politically correct word for sex worker? Pause! It's also not uncommon for people to go to peep shows. Basically, you and your mates pile up into a very tight, confined, and awfully smelling room and pay 25 cents for a two-way glass in order to clear its fog. You are then more than likely treated to some abhorrent activity of two people who are getting paid in order to do it, who genuinely don't seem interested to begin with. What a mad job to have. Doing your morning commute on bicycle, getting into the office, having a coffee, brushing your teeth, tying up the back of your hair and be like, well, I guess it's time to get to work. At least the nice benefit to that is you will always hit your protein mark for the day. Bodybuilders, take note. Could always gobble down some neck and then go hit a 250 kg deadlift. I mean, let's be real, most male bodybuilders are half gay at least, and they just have to take the plunge, you know? Back on point though. Because these peep shows are so heavily popular with tourists, some bars and clubs decided to implement it into their own bathrooms, except with a special twist. Instead of paying 25 cents to clear the glass, you could go into the bathroom in one of these bars / clubs, enter one of the stalls, and you'll be greeted by a very friendly and warm-looking glory hole. In case I'm not being clear, this is the wall in front of you, the glory hole is below you, and the two-way glass is what's separating you from looking at the other person in the next stall. But that two-way glass can be removed if two people on either end press the same button at the same time, thus clearing the glass. Do you see how this happened? The hen and stag do that apparently are part of this wedding parade both went to Amsterdam Amsterdam at the same time. They each went their own separate ways. The women went to go to a local bar, and the men immediately went to the local whorehouse and lied about it. But eventually, as fate would have it, they would end up in the same bar. A bar with this feature.
The story, because I'm literally telling everyone it's so horrific. She's got a mate called Ellie who's in a house share in London, and Ellie shares with like a bunch of girls. And one of the girls was telling her she's just been on a hen do to Amsterdam, where the stag and the hen went at the same time, but then the stag went one day and the hen one way and the hens went the other. And one of the girls on the hen do got super drunk and went into one of these booths with like a glory hole. And so a guy on the other side stuck his dick through, so the girl was just drunk and started sucking him off. But it was one of these ones apparently where like if like she pushes a button and the guy pushes a button on the other side, they can kind of see who's on the other side. Like it makes it like transparent like a window so they can see. Being drunk, she thought it'd be hilarious to push this button just to see who she'd been sucking off. So she pushes the button and looks up, and it's her dad. And apparently like the hen and the stag do all went home early because it was like so traumatic, and the girl's falling out with all her family. The mum's obviously found out and is like not speaking to the dad. Like it's broken up the whole family because this girl sucked off her dad through a glory hole.
I don't think there's going to be any Christmas dinners for a while. I really, really hope this is some like timid, shy white girl, because at the bare minimum then she can at least barely say she knows what her dad's tastes like. If she went all throat goat, and I mean put effort into that, cucumber swallowing expert style, that's even more horrifying. Laying in bed at night and knowing what that feeling is on the back of your throat would kill me. As funny as the story is, and as bad as I want it to be true, it is entirely possible that this posh girl on the voice note may have just lied. And because this went so viral, Vice News themselves decided to investigate whether or not this was true.
Is it true? I tracked down Amsterdam's holes to see if one with the glass exists.
I know you guys have holes. It's all for men.
In fact, of the 4 holes available, 3 of them were for men on men only, which means that only one could have hosted the fated off. William Higgins Le Salon.
Is there a button that you can press on your holes to see the other person on the other side?
No, they're just holes.
Ah, case closed. I guess we'll all have to go home. Boo! Endless! What this journalist fails to realize, or fails to address, doing a serious story about a glory hole, I bet she's really happy she did all that degree now, is I don't think you've ever been on a night out, my love. They get a bit messy, and it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility that this Hindu did go into a gay club, and they happened to use the men's toilets. The amount of times I've been out and I've seen women using the men's toilet, I can count on one hand because I've only seen it happen twice. But that's still 2 times. So, my love, that brings up an even greater implication. Now, I highly doubt that the stag do went into a gay bar altogether, unless it was by accident. But is it out of the realm of possibility that the dad went in alone? That the dad used the toilet alone? I think incest is the least of this family's concerns, because if that's the case, the dad wasn't looking for a female top-off. And furthermore, it's entirely possible as well that not every single glory hole is registered on Google. I'm pretty sure there's a couple bars who are just like, okay, well, whatever. Don't even think to add the feature. And or maybe the owner isn't tech savvy, but they're very bricked. It comes down to a question of you as the person. Do you want to live in a world of fantasy and belief where anything's possible? Or do you want to live in a boring world where this lady doesn't get jaw locked from her own father? I know which world I want to live in. Just like you want to live in the world where you're legally subscribed to Dino. For this family, I am praying for you, but maybe this was God's way of letting your husband come out. Granted, you will never be a family again. That's all I have to say on the matter, guys. See you later. Bye bye.